At nearly 200 meters long and 20 meters wide, the Cuyahoga will take 4 months to strip and scrap. But big projects have big rewards. MRC stands to make hundreds of thousands of dollars from the legendary Laker, or lose their shirts.
Of course, in a business like this, that's pretty much your only revenue, is the metal. So you have to get all your garbage and all your waste and all your costs out of the way, and then hope that the scrap market's friendly to you.
And there's another challenge. The industry has a nasty reputation.
Ship recycling is internationally known for its, environmental and human carnage.
92% of the world's recyclers are in Asia, where stripping and shearing happens right on the beach, with fuel, lead, and mercury contaminating the shorelines. Jordan has a plan to recycle megaships better, faster, and safer.
We started thinking about 7 years ago how they launched ships in China. China's dry docks got very busy. So we saw these videos of these ships being built and then launched with these rubber bags, and we said, why can't we do that in reverse? If it can be built and launched in the water, of course you could take it out. So, it was a bit of a risk. We built a slipway with 3 different gradients on it, bought a few $100,000 of equipment, hydraulic chain pullers, and then we just took a shot. It completely changed our business, and we are the only large ship recycling company in the world that uses the airbags to dry dock vessels this size. And it's just a remarkable sight to see them, on 65 rubber airbags and the whole thing up out of the water. Like, it's a wild sight.
In a few months, the historic Cuyahoga will be lifted with those same airbags and hauled on shore, giving the recycling team safe access to the entire hull.
So the aft end of the boat still has buoyancy while we're rolling it out on airbags. We have to have the airbags thread underneath the ship offshore. And then we'll have guys in the water to put the valves on and inflate the bags with air. So we just keep doing that until we eventually have the whole boat pulled out.
At Marine Recycling Corporation, a green-certified ship recycling yard, Jordan Elliott's team gets to work. Step 2 is to get as much weight off the bow as possible, which is tricky work while the giant ship is still in the water.
Before we can roll it out, we have to lighten up the bow. This is a unique ship that has the forward unloading tower and the forward house on it. So it's drafting about 7 feet at the bow, 7.5 feet. For us to roll it out on the airbags, we need it at about 3 feet or better. The higher, the better for us. In order to get it up to 3 feet, we got to take a bunch of weight off the bow.
Taking weight off the bow means cutting a huge piece with a 3,000-degree propane torch.
This is our cutting torch. Very simple to use. You turn on a little bit of propane, a little bit of oxygen, and adjust your flame. We run about 100 pounds of oxygen, 20 pounds of propane PSI through this torch. And with this torch here, I can cut through about a foot thick of steel.
Okay, we're all clear here, Derek. Go ahead and start climbing up on her. Just slowly take her up to 20 thou and let me know. We're actually getting some wiggle there. You got her floating there, buddy. Just keep coming up on the wire and swinging right. What is the total weight of that? What do you got on the hook there, Derek?
22,
10, 4. Yeah, it was a good lift. Everything went smooth there. We were a little under on our weights, but we guessed pretty good. He was good for 50,000. Only came in at 22,000, so it went nice and smooth. Nice lift, Johnny.
Now, the most powerful scissors in the world get to work.
So we're here in the processing yard. The machine behind me, it's got a 4000 Sabre on it, and it's just literally like a big shear, metal shear, and it just cut the steel up, rip it, tear it, whatever you gotta do to get it 4x4, 5x5 pieces. Yeah, so here we go. I'm gonna start shearing this up. This is called combing. Nice on machine, it's easy on my blades. You get into the thicker stuff, blades wear out quicker. And if you get too thin, it gets jammed easier, right? The shear's capable of cutting about, I'd say, 2 inches of steel at its max.
We just started implementing the shears about 5 or 6 years ago. Before that, it used to be ground torchman. They used to have to cut everything up. So the shears have sped us up a lot and reduced the amount of manpower that we need to cut a ship up. So the shears are the most vital part of the project.
Where other people see a mound of worthless scrap metal, Jordan Elliott sees pure gold.
We're professional gamblers. For example, the steel market is $350 a ton. By the time I process it, sell the metal, if it's $200, well, I'm going to lose a whole lot of money on the vessel. So it's an interesting business. It's gambling every day.
The next step is the part that gives shipbreakers a nasty reputation. Jordan's team must remove every scrap of toxic material from the ship for ethical disposal.
Ships hide secrets, sort of. We do our absolute best to do it, pretty substantial environmental assessments and sampling when we do get on board a vessel prior to acquiring it for recycling. But, at the same time, you're not ripping down all of the walls and materials to see what's truly behind it on all of the substrate steel. So, asbestos is usually the biggest cost for us. Asbestos and oil and fuel and bilges and fuel and oil carrying tanks. Asbestos can be on a wall, just sprayed, or it can be sprayed onto an adhesive, like on a substrate, meaning, you really have to scrape and almost pressure wash the stuff off, like with hot washers. So, yeah, every ship is very different. They all have their own surprises.
As the teardown continues, Corey inspects the giant airbags that are this team's secret weapon.
Okay, so this is where we store all of our giant airbags. We're eventually going to use these to roll the ship out of the water. What these bags are is they're giant 75-foot long bags that are 1.5 meters tall, so about 5 feet tall when we inflate them. They're solid rubber. They're essentially like a car tire. That thickness of the rubber, it's 10 ply. These might even be 14 ply, actually, rubber bags. And we can inflate them up to 20, 25 PSI. So each one of these bags weighs roughly 1 ton, so 2,000 pounds. So yeah, you can't move them by hand. It's all machinery. Normally what we do is we use our big forklift to put them in place. But from here, the big crane's gonna grab them and hold them up in the air, 75 feet long, and we'll swing them over to the ship and then actually physically get them underneath the ship with cables. Underneath the ship now, we have cables ran on the seafloor. We'll hook the cable into the other end, and then we'll start pulling that under the ship as the crane's wiring down, and we'll get it centered underneath the ship. This ship's about 60 feet wide, and the bags are 75, so we'll have 7 to 8 feet sticking out each side of the ship. So then we'll take the plugs off of there, and then we can stick an airline on here, and we'll fill this up, and we'll watch our pressure gauge, and we'll monitor how much pressure goes in there. Fill them up to about 30 PSI, but it's a giant bag, so there's a lot of volume in there, so you have to be careful around the bags. We have seen a couple explode underneath the ship. You want to keep everybody away from that and stuff. So there is a lot of dangers involved, but it's a controlled and safe environment. What we're trying to do is to be able to get an airbag under, which can push on the bottom of the ship and push on the seafloor and provide a little bit of lift. And at that point, we're ready to roll it. We'll roll it 6 or 8 feet. You can get your second bag in, and then it just repeats for the next couple days here until we get about 25 to 30 bags under. All right, boys, ready to roll? Start stroking there, Johnny. Yeah, she's pulling already, nice and easy. You just got a big jolt there. She's coming your way now.
Okay, I'll keep her kind of slow here.
Yeah, she just jumped forward 10 feet, so you'll probably just take the slack for a little bit now.
Welcome back. Yeah, I'm just taking it really slow here, Cor.
Yeah, she jumped ahead again there, another 10 feet, Johnny. Yeah, so it's a big ordeal trying to pull a 6,000-ton vessel out of the water and then onto land. Some of the main concerns are the pressure on that chain. Like I said, it is a 500-ton chain puller, so when that thing's under tension, there's a lot of pressure on that chain.
Yeah, it's just that 500.
Yeah, it's not surge or anything. It's just moving nice and slow and smooth with you. So we got 7 under there total. You just aired up the last bag, and then we're ready to pull again. Should be able to take a bigger pull this time and get to about 15 to 30 feet, and then we'll be able to start stabbing bags offshore in the water again.
Yeah, the airbag is now topped up to 23 PSI, so we just relieve the pressure. We take off our air supply, and now what I'm gonna do is go bag to bag checking pressures, make sure everything's topped up to 23 right up to the bow. And the reason for that is as the ship comes up, the bow is lightest. As these bags gain midship into the engine room, we gotta check, make sure they don't overload with pressure. Safe working load is 26 PSI. Anything over that, the bag can explode.
The more ship on shore, the heavier it gets. And the bow is the easy part.
The bow is very light right now because they took off the captain's quarters, the wheelhouse, everything. And then as we get back past midship, the boat will start cantilevering and we'll get into the engine room, and that's the heaviest part of the ship.